That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of That Sounds Fun, The Seasons. I'm your host, Annie F. Downs. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I love talking on a holiday Monday. So if you're in the U.S., you've got today off of work because of Memorial Day. I hope you are doing something relaxing and letting us be a part of it too. Today on the show, we're going to answer a question. What if this season hasn't turned out like I hoped it would? A really, really important question for all of us to think through and pray through and listen today through. Springtime continues. We have finished winter. We're into the spring, but that does not mean that everything goes the way we think it will. So I think today's conversation is really important. I'm talking with my really sweet friend, DawnCheré Wilkerson. She and her husband, Rich, are the lead pastors at VOUS Church in Miami, Florida, and she is a beautiful writer, along with being such a peaceful presence. You're just going to absolutely love her. We get to talk about what God's up to in Miami, what God's doing in Gen Z, and what to do while you are waiting on God to answer your prayers. Her new book, Slow Burn, is all about the waiting conversation. It is an important one for us to have. So if you're following along in your TSF Seasons Guidebook, we are on page 54. And if you're wondering about that, you can just head to anniefdowns.com/seasons. The spring pages, we're on page 54. The summer pages are coming soon. So go ahead, anniefdowns.com/seasons. Get your guidebook, download the winter and spring pages, and be ready to get those summer ones in just a couple of weeks. Okay, here is my conversation with my friend, DawnCheré Wilkerson.
That sounds fun.
Where is it from? Let's go. Where is the actual coffee house?
It's right next door to the Harpeth.
To the Harpeth, yeah.
We walked there. I
Yes.
just want to make sure it was.
I love that place. Did you walk all the way down? Is it the Second and Bridge one?
It's like two houses over to the right.
And
when you come out the
the
doors.
thing about Franklin, Tennessee, we're rolling. We will bring everyone to Franklin.
Yeah.
The thing about Franklin, Tennessee is that every place is a house. Like
Yeah.
every restaurant you go into, it used to be a house.
Every shop.
All the little rooms.
Vintage stores, coffee
Yes.
shops.
Yes.
I love it.
I know. I think it is so fun.
I'd love to just spend a week just.
You would lose so
going
much money.
house
You would
by
spend
house.
so much money.
It reminds me, Austin has a street like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What's it called? Sixth Street?
I don't know, but it's so unique.
yeah.
I'd never seen that before.
Tell me
love
what
Franklin.
I don't know about Miami. In the book, you thanked Miami for all that it's been for you. It seems in my brain, I've never been there yet. I'm going to come to VooCon or Voo Girl.
Please.
What is it about Miami? What's God doing there?
I love Miami. I think when people think of Miami, in fact, I had a friend visit who hadn't been to Miami in 15 years, and she kind of just had this vision of like South Beach and parties, and she's like, I'm just not into it. She's from the West Coast, and she came in town, and Rich and I just showed her around a whole different side of Miami. There are so many neighborhoods with such beautiful, distinct culture.
Yeah.
I love it. The food is so diverse.
Yeah.
The people, you can go on any street and hear multiple languages just being spoken all around you. So I've lived all over Miami. I really love it. Right now I'm in an area called Coconut Grove, and it's a grove. So the trees, you can't even see the houses from the air because you just have so many trees, like a carpet over you.
Beautiful.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. It seems like we're seeing this. I mean, I just read an article in the news yesterday about Gen Z going back to church.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like VOUS Church has really led the way. I can think of 3 or 4 churches that were telling us before we were seeing it that Gen Z was back. And Gen Z wanted to be in church.
It's unbelievable to watch. We've
Yeah.
been seeing it for years. Kids bringing their parents to God.
Yes.
Walking in the door, them having their lives transformed, and then college students praying for their parents and bringing their parents through the doors. And it's miraculous. It's answered prayer for us in Miami. It's really beautiful. You think that it happens the opposite, right?
Yes.
But right now, there's such a beautiful thing happening.
When I listen to you or Rich preaching at VOUS Church, one of the things I notice, and tell me if these are connected. One of the things I notice about y'all's preaching is you always tell the whole truth. Like when y'all talk on dating or singleness or marriage or sex or lying or stealing or any kind of sin, y'all are very like, this is black and white. Do you think
It's encouraging.
Do you think that is what Gen Z is looking for from us as preachers?
I think so. I think they're just looking for people that they can relate to, who will tell them the truth, but also show them how to live their life Monday through Saturday. Because we can inspire on Sunday, but then it's like, well, how do I get through Monday?
Yeah.
And I think that right now, I turned 40 this year.
Yes.
And so I had some 20-somethings at my house after church last week. And I thought, wow, I have been doing a little bit of life. I am a little further down this road than you. And so talking through what 18 years of working in your marriage looks like, or what it actually looks like to have healthy boundaries. I think that all those conversations are key for us because I think they want to know, how do I win?
Yeah.
And it's not like act perfect. It's let's try to sustain health from the inside out.
Yes.
Trust Jesus daily.
Yes. Christy Nockels and I she was just sitting there a couple of days ago, and we were talking about this, and I was telling her this story yesterday that you're just going to be disappointed in me, but it's okay. I asked for forgiveness and everything.
Stop it right now.
But I was at church and I said something out of sync. It was not respectful. I was annoyed, whatever. And afterwards, when I felt conviction from the Lord, what I felt the Lord remind me is, those were not your peers. Those are younger women in God. And you're the aunt. You're not I'm not a mother figure yet, right? Like you and I aren't like the mothers of the church. No. We're the aunts of the church, though. We're not the daughters anymore.
I love it.
That's the biggest conviction I felt from the Lord is what I said was sideways. And so the Lord catches me on that a lot, as you know. But this was more, hey, not only was what you said sideways, you said it in front of younger women of God, and they're looking to you to figure out what respect looks like and you missed on this.
I've had countless moments like that.
Yeah.
And now that I have these tiny humans in my house, they catch me on everything.
Yes.
And they just call me out, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to apologize.
Yeah, that's right. And so talk to me about, because you and Rich do run VOUS Church, so you are the mother of that house.
Yeah, we started VOUS 10 years ago. It's 10 years this year, which is a wild thought because we've been saying we've been church planners for a while, and now it's like, okay, he didn't just start this church.
Yeah, that's
You've been going for a minute, but God's done miracles.
That's right. And so what does it look like to transition? Like you're talking about the 20-somethings in your home. Talk to our friends. We're talking so much about seasons this year. Talk to our friends like us that are in our 40s that kind of are just coming awake to the idea, oh, I'm not the youngest in the room anymore. I'm not the oldest in the room. I'm not the matriarch, but I am in charge. I am an adult in the room. How's that transition been for you?
Well, I think that I really love the middle. I really love this age. I turned 40 this year. Rich turned 40 6 months before me, my husband. And I remember there being this shift in my heart that I didn't expect when I turned 30.
Yeah.
It was a new confidence.
Yes.
There's a new assurance that I can trust my gut. I can trust the prompting of the Holy Spirit. Like there is discernment and understanding and wisdom inside of me from his Spirit. But when I turned 40, I think just even more so, very excited about this decade, excited to celebrate it. Lean into community. Yeah. I'm excited to take risks again. I think you get so comfortable and you start to accumulate things in life and you're like, it makes you play it so safe. Mm-hmm. But I want to live with that adventure. Yes. I want to enjoy life. I want to make memories. I want to have God dreams. And I want to live a life that's creative. Mm-hmm. And so I think as I step into my 40s, it's like I want to continue to create. We were made in the image of God. He is the creator. We were created to just dream and imagine. Imaginations from God. And so all of those words, they inspire me. It gets me fired up for this next decade. Yes. Because I think a lot of times, I was talking to our college students at VOUS in Miami this last week, we think that we need all these resources to create, but I really do believe that limitation creates innovation. I really do believe that when you feel like you don't have a lot, it's the perfect opportunity for you to create something that is unique, that is needed. And so I want to embrace this decade, and I want to create beautiful things for the glory of God.
I'm half a decade ahead of you. I turned 45 this summer, and the other day a friend, so I've been thinking about the adventure part of life.
Yes.
And a friend, totally in passing, did not mean it in any sideways way, said, I was sitting in a chair with their kid, and I made a joke like, you're 10 and I'm almost 45. Like, this is a chair. You have to be these two ages. My friend said, oh yeah, 45. Does that feel kind of old to you? And I was like, yeah, actually it kind of does. And at the same time, I'm watching our friends like Lisa Harper and Christine Kane, who are a decade ahead of us.
Killing it.
And they're not pulling back from adventure at all.
No.
But the whisper I am just starting to hear in my head for the first time, DC, is I'm starting to hear the whisper of, are you sure you're not too old to do that? Are you sure? Why don't you settle down a little bit?
Yeah.
Why don't you, not in relationship, I want to do that. You and I've talked about it, but settling down and stop picking new adventure.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be in your 50s soon. And then I'm like, oh, we're not starting that now. I'm going to lift heavier weights. I'm going to make more adventure choices. I'm going to do the opposite of what the enemy is whispering to me to slow down. That's not what, I'm not in my fall season. I'm in my spring season.
I'm with you.
We're going in our 40s.
I want to keep that curiosity.
Yeah.
I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to go on adventures.
Yes.
When I was in college, I backpacked across Europe with Rich.
Oh,
and
fun.
I mean, it was literally like our backpack. It was the 20-year anniversary last month of that. And I pulled one of my journals out.
Yeah.
We were laughing because we were, in Munich, and we got off the bus stop and the police made us leave the bus stop because we were trying to sleep on the bench. And it's like, we just were college kids, like on an adventure. And I'm kind of that person that can get really comfortable and can want to stay at my house all day, sit on the couch, stay cozy. And I'm so grateful. Relationships and friendships mean the world because you need people in your corner who get you out of your comfort zone. Say, let's go have fun. Let's go make a memory. Let's go experience something new, because in new spaces and new environments, I feel like there's so much inspiration for your everyday. It's like being in a different environment helps you have a different perspective so that you can dream again and then get back to the plow and be like, oh, we're going to try it a different way this time.
Yes. I love you bringing up your journals, because in your new book, Slow Burn, which you're seeing the tabs. Look how I tabbed this thing.
So encouraging.
I love this book. I found it so beautifully written. In Slow Burn, you show some of your journal pages and you talk about journaling. Our question that we're kind of focused on today is, what if this season hasn't turned out like I hoped it would? I don't know anybody who can say, well, this turned out exactly like I thought it would. Like, of course not. How is journaling as a discipline help you get through seasons? Like, when you go back and look, like you're talking about with your trip, how has journaling been a discipline that's really helped with that?
Yeah, I think my thoughts left alone and contained in my mind, it is just this mess. But when I start to articulate to a friend, if I sit down with you over coffee and just poured my heart out, even before you say a word back to me, I'm already getting clarity.
Yes, totally, yes.
There's something about it, about being honest about where you are. And my journals have always been that for me. It's a place where I can be very specific. I'll use that word, specific. Journals help me be specific about what I need, about what I'm feeling, about my dreams. When I write down what I'm asking God to reveal or what I need Him to lead me in, it feels much more permanent, and I'm able to focus on it with clarity instead of just letting a million different words and thoughts swirl in my head like a windstorm. When I journal, it's a place of inspiration. I might write an entire chapter of I might write a psalm down. I might write a scripture down. I might write a quote that I love from a book I'm reading. I might write bullet points of what the last week has been like, because I don't want to forget. The other thing I love about journals is that it helps you look at your story with truth.
Wow.
Because our memories change. That's been proven. You can read articles about it. People recount where they were 10 years ago, and they've changed the narrative. It's not full truth. And so when I write down in real time how that conversation transpired, what that service was like for me, what that encounter was like, what this season feels like to me, it just helps me keep the truth as I reflect and don't create a false narrative.
The thing I hear a lot from moms is the concern. Now, I live by myself, not married yet, no kids. I'm not concerned about people reading my journals. I hear a lot from moms when we talk about journaling. I can't write that down because what if one of my kids reads it?
Yeah, I get it. Somebody said that to me the other day. I think I was really insecure about that when I was like a teenager. I wasn't very good at journaling at that point, but I was trying. I was kind of cutting my teeth on it. I would start for a few weeks, and then I would stop. I would
the journal would dud out.
Yeah, I would go buy a new journal the next year.
Dude, I do the same thing.
And somewhere along the line, I was just like, I just got to finish that one that I started. It's embarrassing that it's been a year, but like, let's pick up where we left off.
Exactly.
And when I completed my first journal, it gave me so much confidence. It's one of my favorite things in life to complete a journal and get to order a new one because I finished that one. But I think that there are ways to write that you don't have to say maybe specific names or things like that. But if I'm going through a tough time, this happened. We got the news about, and you can figure out a way that if you really don't want nitty gritty details of things, you can figure out a way to be honest and go, I'm going through a tough time. Something has happened. But I do pour my heart out in my journals. I don't want my kids to think that my life was just easy and that everything was fun and everything was always good all the time. I want them to understand that in the wrestle with God, that is a place of revelation, that is a place where your name is changed. That is a place where God reveals himself to you and you're never the same again. So the wrestle is worth it. So I want them to know that, hey, here I am praying to figure out what school you're going to go to. And I'm taking you to the therapist, and I'm taking you to the speech specialist, and I'm bringing you before God just like I bring my own life before God, and I'm trusting God that he's going to lead and guide us step by step. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know what the rest of this year holds for us, but I know today I'm bringing it before God, and that's all I can do.
That sounds fun.
Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation to tell you about one of our incredible partners. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I love that awareness of the benefits of taking care of our mental health seems to be on the rise. Have y'all noticed that too? I mean, there's certainly still room for growth. In a recent survey, 26% of Americans who participated said that they have avoided seeking mental health support due to fear of judgment. I don't want anyone who needs support to hesitate to ask for it. That delay doesn't just affect them, it has an impact on families and workplaces and communities, and BetterHelp is there to, help. Therapy has been incredibly helpful to me, processing decisions and patterns with someone wise and qualified to help me with coping strategies. I just think it's so important to enlist the right help at the right time. BetterHelp has over 10 years of experience matching people with the right therapist from their diverse network of more than 30,000 licensed therapists with a wide range of specialties. It's fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. And they make it super simple to switch therapists if you need to at no extra cost. We're all better with help. Visit betterhelp.com/thatsoundsfun. And my friends are going to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thatsoundsfun. And one more incredible partner I get to tell you about, Hiya Health. Here's the thing. We are crazy about the kids in our lives, right? I mean, that my nephew Sammy is my actual favorite person. And all my mini BFFs, I love them. And we want those kids to have everything they need to grow healthy and strong. It's just that they can tend to be on the picky side as far as eating goes. Enter Hiya's super-powered chewable vitamins for kids. Hiya has put the expertise of pediatricians and nutritional experts into filling the most common gaps in modern children's diets. And that provides the full body nourishment that my mini BFFs need with a yummy taste that they will love, even for your pickiest eaters. Hiya's children's vitamin are pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and many others to help support their immune system, their energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth and bones, and more. All the good stuff, but none of the unhealthy chemicals, crazy amounts of sugar, and other gummy additives growing kids should never eat. They're non-GMO, vegan, dairy-friendly, allergy-free, gelatin-free, nut-free, and they're sent straight to your door. So parents have one less thing to worry about. Plus, they are Sammy approved. So your kids are going to love them too. And if you're tired of trying to convince them to try their greens, Hiya now has Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfood, a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with 55-plus whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids are actually going to enjoy. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling Children's Vitamin. You get 50% off your first order. So to claim this deal for my friends, you got to go to hiyahealth.com/thatsoundsfun. Again, that's Hiya Health, HIYAHEALTH.com/thatsoundsfun, and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Okay, now back to our conversation with DawnCheré.
That sounds fun.
Particularly when a season hasn't gone like you thought it would, like as you and I did not plan to be 44 and unmarried. That is so outside of the plans I had in my journals when I was 19 and 20.
Yes.
And so when a season hasn't turned out like you thought it would, I mean, your book, Slow Burn, is so much about the wait, like what you and Rich learned in the waiting. And this quote, I'm going to quote you to yourself. This quote is unbelievable. The wait is not just a season. The wait is life. And then the question became, will you live while you wait? So will you talk to us a little bit? Because I think about my journals and all the relationships that didn't work, all the things I've asked God for that have not gone. He has not answered the way I wanted to. He answers every time. He does not always answer the way I want him to. And in my life, a lot of us have gotten very professional at waiting. Everyone has. Everyone's waiting on something they don't have. If you ate lunch, you're waiting on dinner. Like, we're just waiting. Talk to me about how you've embraced that life is about waiting and what you do with all these stories that don't go the way you want them to.
Yeah, I think the purpose of this book, Slow Burn, is it's not about getting what you want, but it really is about experiencing the presence of God right where you are.
Wow.
And knowing that you have what you need.
Yes. And
that's what I've experienced. In the 8 years of infertility that we were awaiting, I had to come to a place, and it took me a long time. God's been so patient with me. He continues to be so patient with me. But after several years of wrestling with it, I got to a place where I'm like, Lord, you've healed me. You've healed my heart. Whether I have a baby or not, I've seen you move over the last few years, and I do have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of people to love, and I have a lot of people to pour my heart out to, a lot of other babies to hold. And I really felt like I came to a place where I realized, okay, waiting is life. If God chooses to give me a child, then I'm going to be waiting for God to continue to unveil the purpose for that child's life. There's going to be tons of trusting moments, tons of times that drive me to my knees where I don't have the answer. So in life, I find that we just keep moving the goalposts. It's like, like when you order something and like something comes on TikTok and you're like, I want those pants.
Yes,
and then the pants come and they finally get there. And you, what do? You open up the box and then it's like, so like,
yes, I'll wear those tomorrow.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing for the rest of the day?
That's
it
right.
doesn't change you.
That's right.
It doesn't change you. And so we're all waiting on something because eternity's been seated in our hearts.
Yes.
And we have this insatiable longing for that which we can't see right now. But to answer your question, there are physical things that we all long for. A child, a spouse, to step into our purpose. And what do we do when it's taking longer than we ever dreamed? What I found in the wait is that you stop holding your breath and you start living.
Yes.
You start breathing. You start laughing.
Yes.
You bring your tears before God. You're honest with him, but you also invite him into your days to go, God, there's wonder and there's your presence right here, right now.
Yeah.
Interrupt my day. Lead me with a purpose. Use me, God.
Yes.
And when we start to get outside of our head and we start to see people around us, that has brought so much freedom. I don't want to sound insensitive to someone who's watching or listening.
No.
But like when you start not making the baby the center of your world.
Yes.
And you go, Jesus, you're the center.
Yes.
And you always will be.
Yes.
And Lord, as I pursue you, you're going to bring me the joy, the strength. You're going to fill my cup again and again and again.
Yes.
So I just realized like I'm not locked out in the hallway. Like I'm ushered not just into a room. You're not just ushered into a room. You're welcomed in the presence of God, the throne room of heaven every single day.
Yes.
And that's that's really what captivated me in my wait, is that there's work for me here. I want to build God's church. I want to love people.
Yes.
And I want to release the love that I hold today freely, and know that should I step into that season I'm waiting for in the future, I'll have plenty of love to share then also.
I think I've told you this story in our real lives, but I mean, this is real life, but you know what I mean? Off a microphone. But one of the questions the Lord put in front of me a couple of years ago is, what if the gospel goes further if you don't get married? Wow. And at the time, the way I heard it and the way I digested it was very, I guess I'm never getting married. Well, I guess I should give up on this. Thank God for mentors, because I came back to my mentor, Nancy, and I came back to my pastor, Kevin, and I said, I think the Lord said this. And they were like, I think that's the right question. I think you've interpreted it wrong.
Wow.
And so how do we live with that question, but how do we interpret it differently? And it's what
That's
you're
powerful.
saying of, thank God for voices like that. They go like, hold on.
They reframe your wait with one sentence sometimes.
That's right. And instead of me being like a nun, though I respect nuns, instead of me being a nun, the Lord was like, what if today the gospel is going further because you aren't married yet? And I went, oh, okay. Well, if you're saying that, then wherever I am today is where God can do the most for me and through me. And so I just have to believe, we just have to choose that. That's what you're saying, is the get up and breathe and smile is to say, He is doing the most for you and through you today in your wait.
Yeah. And don't you think that's exactly like what we're talking about, is that you had these thoughts in your head and it was almost right.
Yeah.
But when you got them out
yes.
in front of someone who was further down the road than you, who had wisdom and who could speak into your life with love, they were able to reframe and tweak it in a way that brought so much strength. Like I remember when I finally shared my infertility story with my parents for the first time. I waited a year.
Oh my gosh, you waited a year. I read that in the book, and you are so close to your parents.
I was so close to them.
Believe you waited a year.
You know how close I am with them. Gosh. I waited a year. I just wanted to solve it, and I couldn't. Yeah. And I remember sharing it with my parents. The first thing my dad said is, he said, DawnCheré, this is about an eternal soul coming into the earth. This isn't about you having a baby. This is about when God has ordained for an eternal soul to come into history.
Wow.
So you can trust him. It's a bigger plan. Wow. And that zoom out, okay, this isn't just about me and my living room and my marriage and my house and my dreams.
Yes.
Oh, this is an eternal soul that you have a plan for.
Yes.
It's not my plan.
Yes.
It was like in one moment, it reframed, just like your friend reframed your season also. It's powerful. So I think we all need people in our lives that we can trust, that love God wholeheartedly, but also are further down the road than us, who can just speak into our lives.
I think your dad saying that also, if we fast forward a lot of years, probably really served you when y'all were surprisingly pregnant with your fourth baby, where you're like, this is the opposite.
Yes.
But in our, oh my gosh, what is happening? This is still an eternal soul that God must have always intended.
It was wild. And we just celebrated the 1 year from when I found out I was pregnant. Yeah. And it was the first time in 18 years of marriage that I had gotten pregnant without doctors, without anything happen. Like, it was shocking. I'd never had a positive pregnancy test at home. You know how many pregnancy tests I took over 18 years? I'd never had one.
What made you take it?
Never
How
one.
did you feel?
Oh, I was almost 7 weeks pregnant at that time because I had waited so long. I thought, there's no way. The nausea that I had gotten out I was getting our college students some donuts. It was our last class of the year. And I was headed to the class. I thought, I'll get them donuts. And I opened up the car door, and there was just like a normal gutter on the side of the street. I almost threw up. I was so nauseous. I couldn't believe it. Then I got away to write my book. I was finishing the book. I thought I was finishing the book.
Yeah.
I go into the hotel. I can smell mold. I can't focus.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I was like nauseous. I go and I get a test. I take it in the hotel room. And I can't believe it. And I got no work done.
Oh, I'm sure.
None. I had my books, I had my resources, I had the Post-it notes on the wall. I'm like, forget it. What is happening right now? Went to the doctor by myself.
Wow.
In the morning. I didn't even want to tell Rick if it was a false alarm. We've had so many crashes of disappointments, Thought, I'm not even going to waste his time if this is, I want to be sure. Yeah. I went to the doctor, heard his heartbeat.
Wow.
Then I left the hotel that day. I'm like, I'm not staying another night.
Yeah.
Took Rich to dinner. He was so stressed from
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
He laughs now. He's like, all I did was complain the whole day. He's like, you could not get a word in. He's like, you were probably thinking the whole time, can you just breathe so that I can like, and I was like, oh man, he's having a rough day. This is about to spin him out because I was overwhelmed. And then at the end, like the tiramisu came and I'm like, he's talking about Christmas, which was months and months away. I'm like, well, babe, Christmas is going to look a little different.
Yeah.
And I'd made this video.
Yes.
You know, and I showed him and tears just streaming down his face.
Yeah.
And it was holy. It was precious. And then we walked home because I told you, like where I live, I can walk home. We're walking home and we're just looking at each other like, what is about to happen?
Right.
We're turning 40 and we're having a baby, and we never thought we'd have. I mean, it's our fourth.
Yes.
And sitting on the other side, God tells the best stories.
Yeah.
He tells the best stories.
Would you do the whole, if you could rewrite the last 40 years, would you change any of it?
No, I wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah.
The power of journaling is that you see things that you wrote down decades ago,
Yes.
and you wanted to do them that year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I laugh. I found my journal from 20 years ago in college. I was studying in Cambridge with Rich, and I write down what I'm going to do that summer. Do you know that I wrote down 18 goals for the summer?
Oh my gosh. It's like
It's
one every
actually
other day.
ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous.
much.
Like worship album, do
Yeah.
this, do that. Well, some of those things that I put on that list 18 years ago, I was working on this week.
Oh my gosh.
Or 20 years ago.
Yes.
It's 20 years ago. I was working on this week. So sometimes we just think that life is about just making your list and you hustle and you get it done quickly. But I find that God places dreams in our heart that sometimes we ponder not just for years, but decades.
Yeah.
And we can trust his story.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take a day back.
Yeah.
I've discovered who God is. I've discovered who I am in him. And I have a hunger for more.
Yeah. In Slow Burn, you talk about treasured fruit.
Yeah.
Where you talk about what you're planting, the seeds you're putting in, which is a springtime conversation of like what you're putting in is going to produce something. So talk to us a little bit about, I mean, what you're saying. I wouldn't change any of this. I would journal, I would pray, I would tie closer to God, I would do it again. Are seeds that you planted. For friends that are listening that are in a waiting season that's really painful, maybe they got another negative pregnancy test or another relationship ended, their husband lost the job that they thought would keep them in that city forever, and now they're going to have to move. Like, what are the seeds you plant when things are really painful in your wait?
Well, I think one of the most important things when we're dealing with disappointment is not to retract from life.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like if you think about like your home, and if you're going through a disappointment and instead you leave your home and you go to a cave, it's dark, it's alone, you're isolated, no one has to know what you're going through. You feel safe, but really you're in a really dangerous place.
Wow.
You're experiencing life in a way that you don't have to. Go back to your home and let your community come in and surround you.
Good.
You need that community around you when you're hurting. I've sat on the couch after negative tests, so after disappointments with a jar of Nutella and my girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I've cried at the altar with friends. And I have stayed up late nights with my husband contemplating, God, what do you want from us in this season?
Yes.
We don't get it.
Yes.
We thought we knew what you were doing here. You know, we've been waiting. And I would just say that even speaking it out to someone that you love and trust, it's one thing to just vent to anyone and everyone. For the narrative of your life to be what you're going through, you don't want to do that. That's not helping you.
Right.
Like that's not doing anything for your soul. But it's a beautiful, holy thing.
Yeah.
When you have your friends and your family who come alongside you and you can be honest about where you are, and then you allow them to speak life over you.
Yeah.
Pray together. People don't pray together anymore.
Yes.
Like if you're with your girlfriend, if you're with anybody, like grab their hand and pray.
Yes.
When you get done talking about the relationship, when you get done talking about the date or about the negative pregnancy test or whatever it might be, like end with a prayer.
How come? Why has that changed things?
Because you're inviting the presence of God into that moment
Yeah.
and you're surrendering, right? Like you're actively surrendering your life.
Yeah.
And when we surrender our life to God, that's when he inhabits our life with power and strength. I love the promise, my grace is sufficient for you.
Yeah.
My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I'll boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me. So when I just grab your hand and go, God, Annie and I need you today. Lord,
Yeah.
we don't know what to do here, and we actually need you to lead us and make it really clear because we want to do what you want to do.
Yes.
It's an open door that God can't resist. And I've watched him time and time again as I just talk to him, just like I just did, as he makes things clear in his time. And I just encourage people, like, let's get back to like praying wherever we are.
Yeah.
Grabbing hands and agreeing together.
Yeah.
Scripture says there's power in that.
Yes.
That sounds fun.
Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation one more time to tell you about one of our incredible partners, Athletic Greens. Okay, the AG1 you've heard me talking about for so long just went through a major upgrade. AG1's next gen is here. It's the same single scoop, once a day routine, but now it's clinically backed and formulated with more upgraded vitamins, minerals, and probiotics. AG1's next gen is now one of the most clinically backed greens powders. They went above and beyond the industry standard in testing and have made a great product even better. AG1 is always learning and growing just like we are. Next Gen represents years of development and 4 clinical trials. I love knowing that they've applied the findings of all that research to bring us a daily health drink packed with bioavailable and easily absorbable ingredients. The new Next Gen formula offers a more advanced, clinically backed formula that fills common nutrient gaps and supports gut health, all in the same easy once-a-day ritual. I literally, every morning, just mix mine in really cold water plus some sort of hydration multiplier, and that is part of my tea time routine. This is the perfect time to try AG1 if you haven't yet. I've been drinking AG1 for like 2 years now. I'm so grateful to continue partnering with them. So subscribe today to get the next gen of AG1. If you use our link, my friends also get a free bottle of AG D3K2, which I use every day, an AG1 Welcome Kit, which is the shaker I use as well, and 5 of the upgraded AG1 travel packs with your first order. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/soundsfun to get started with AG1's next gen and notice the benefits for yourself. That's drinkag1.com/soundsfun. And now back to finish up our conversation with DawnCheré.
That sounds fun.
There's a thing about weakness that women don't want to be weak, you know? Like we don't want to, like even you telling the story of I went to the doctor by myself because I didn't want my husband to go through this, but you'd have gone through the excitement and the drop.
Yes.
And there are husbands who do that too. There are husbands who deal with a thing at work or a thing
100%.
that they don't bring home until they have it sorted out.
Yes.
So this is not a uniquely female thing, but there is something about how do we choose weaknesses?
Yes.
And how do we choose softness? Yes. And I have been trying to pay attention. I've really been, my counselor and I have really been working on choosing softness and choosing to not be in control. I have a real control thing, DawnCheré. And it's
beautiful,
so good.
though.
It's so helpful.
Choose softness.
Yes. And to go like, okay, let me find my weaknesses and call them out and celebrate them a little bit.
Yeah.
And go like, oh man, I'm really bad at that. I'm so glad I'm bad at that. I'm so glad that's hard for me that's hard for me every time. So like keeping up with profit and loss, P&Ls of my life and my companies.
I love this.
I'm so weak at that. And so I just keep going, oh great, here's a place where there is no amount of Annie that will make this work. And what is
100%.
proving true in my dating life is there's no amount of Annie that can just make it work. And you and Rich couldn't do enough.
We couldn't do it.
You couldn't do enough. I can't do enough to, I'm not smart enough to keep up with the P&Ls. I can't do enough to get my husband in my life. Y'all couldn't do enough to have kids. What do we do when we can't do enough?
It's the heart question of life because we all want to be able to control.
Yes.
And we all
That's my thing, sis.
think that if we, at least I did, if I write it down in my journal and set my sights on it, I can make it happen.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't.
Right.
I just came to the end of myself, first of all, where I was exhausted because I had isolated myself. I was in that cave, working my guts out,
Right.
going to the doctor's appointments, doing everything, not letting anyone in.
Right.
But God created community. You know, when the Holy Spirit filled that upper room 2,000 years ago and God created the church, his bride, he's called us to walk together. And then as I walked through years of infertility with our community, I think when you realize it's not enough, first of all, I don't have all the answers, but what I can share from my experience is I had to come to a place where I was like, this thought cannot dominate my life.
Wow.
I'm going to have something to wake up and work towards.
Wow.
Because God's created us to work.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And if I would have put all of the things in my heart on hold until I had a child, I would have missed out really on one of the most fruitful seasons of my entire life.
Yes.
If you're waiting to get married because you think there's a crazy lie, like your ministry starts when you get married, that's insane.
Right.
Like you're going to miss out on one of the most fruitful seasons of your entire life. And so when you can't make it happen, just what I've learned is trust God, wake up and have something to pour all your energy, all your resource, all your time, and make it about something more than yourself. We were born to live for more than just our immediate needs, our little circle. We were created to love a community. We were created to live with open arms and just release. You know, it could be like a dam in your life where you're just stocking everything up for that moment that you finally, you know, make a touchdown and cross that goal. But the truth is that we've got to give freely, just the way that Christ gave.
Wow. Did you, in your process of the years of waiting, I'm sure you're still waiting for other things. It's not like you're like, and now we have kids. And therefore we're done waiting.
Oh, yeah. I got a list of things in my journal that I'm waiting for. You go from waiting season to waiting season.
Right.
That's what you do.
That's right.
And all of our journeys look different, but they are all marked by waiting until we see Jesus face to face. You read the Hall of Fame in Hebrews. You know, they died still believing. They were still waiting for the promises of God to come to pass. Because our lives are so intricately woven into history that God's not just telling a story in our short 100 years, if we're lucky here on earth. Our lives, he gives us beauty for ashes. And so in Slow Burn, this book that I've written, like the picture of the daily incense that God instructs Moses and Aaron to bring in the morning and the night. It's like they brought these small grains, they put them on a heat source, the fire of God's Spirit, and then it creates an aroma that fills the room. Well, you wouldn't think that ashes are very powerful, but the fragrance, the heat transforms the substance.
Wow.
And then it fills a space that it never could without that heat. And we hate the heat.
Yes.
I hate when life turns up the heat on me.
Yes.
But when I bring all my burdens to God in the middle of that hot furnace season, God transforms it in a way, and he uses it. God's never used the best parts of my life.
Yeah. I wish he would.
He never has.
Yeah. Me neither. It's really interesting because what we feel like is the right, well, I won't speak for you, but what I felt like was the right thing is when I get to the other side, I will share. Of whatever it is.
Yes.
But will you tell the color conference story? Because I think there's what I have learned about talking about the places where I'm waiting is the power of talking from the middle has been transformative for me and other people. Talk about the color conference and why you decided to start talking about your wait in the middle of it. Because I think people need to hear that. Don't wait until you have what you're waiting on.
Yeah, I just had the 10-year anniversary for me of the first time I ever shared my infertility story publicly.
Wow.
And I was still walking through infertility. And I was at Color Conference. And I'll just pause really quick because I think that sometimes people get tired of telling their testimony, of sharing what God's done in their life because they think, oh, that was in the past.
Yes.
Everything about our culture right now is now. Put more content out. It doesn't matter how quality it is. You just got to pump it out. If you want to get the views, just get it out. But the way that God tells stories is we have to continue to reflect on what he's already done.
Yeah.
And as we continue to tell the stories, it becomes the narrative for our life. And so while I share this story, no, I've shared this story 1,000 times. And until I see Jesus face to face, I'm going to keep saying it.
Yes.
Because when you open up the Bible, they're passing down stories of God's faithfulness.
Yes, that's right.
I'm not going to give my kids a textbook to learn my testimony.
Yes.
I'm going to tell it to them again and again around the table, at the coffee shop, you know? And as we repeat it, it gives us strength. So I was at this conference years ago, probably like 12 or 13 years ago, and I was just attending Color. And it's halfway around the world.
I was going to say, you flew all the way to Australia to attend.
Yeah, and I was attending.
Yeah.
Wasn't really speaking much at that point. I don't think I was. And I was like a couple years into my journey of infertility. I sat by a woman I had never met before. Her name's Olive. Amazing woman. Didn't know she's like a pillar of the house.
Yeah.
She's an unbelievable mama in their church. And I also didn't know that she had woken up that morning with her husband just on his deathbed struggling with cancer.
Wow.
He had been fighting for years.
Yeah.
And God told her to go to this conference. It's her home church.
Yeah.
And said there's
Even
two
though he was
women,
sick. Wow.
two women for you to encourage.
Wow.
Yeah, and she went to the conference and she sat by me, and there came a point, I think Craig Rochelle was speaking. At the end, he had us pray for each other. He had every woman turn to the other person and pray, the power of prayer. And we prayed for her husband together. And then she asked me, and to be honest, I can't really remember exactly what I said. I might have said something like, I'd love to have kids.
Yeah.
But she started to speak over me. And before I get to the baby part, I think it's really important that I say that, before she prophesied, she started to tell me how much God loved me. And so for anybody watching or listening right now, more than a specific answer, you need to hold the love of God. That's exactly what you need in this moment. You need to know that God's proud of you. You need to know that his eye is on you, that he sees you. He understands the burdens that you're carrying right now. That's what I needed more than anything, because I was wrestling. I was in pain. And then she said to me, you're going to travel the world preaching the gospel with a baby in one hand and a Bible in the other. And, I didn't go home and put it on Instagram.
Yes.
I didn't go home
Was
and
it
get up
scary
on
when
stage.
she said that?
No, it was beautiful.
Okay.
It was beautiful. I
Yeah.
believed it.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't like the clouds part and all of a
Yes.
sudden that it's some supernatural moment. It was
Right.
just words that were whispered in my ear.
Yes.
But I held on to them. We read Mary pondered in her heart.
Pondered in her heart.
We
Yeah.
have the ability to ponder things.
Yes.
I don't want to publish things prematurely.
Yes.
I want to allow God to shape them in my soul first, deep inside. And so I carried that for a few years, and I got an invitation to speak at Color a few years later. And I literally thought I remembered that word.
Yes.
I'd been holding it, but it came to the forefront of my mind when I got the email with the invitation to speak at Color. And I thought, oh God, I know exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because I was getting ready to have a procedure.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to be pregnant. Look, it's 12. I'm a 3-month-old baby. Of course.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes, I'll speak there. I'm going to get up on that stage in the room where I had that word, and I'm going to say, baby in one hand, Bible in the other. God is faithful.
Yeah.
A few months later, that procedure just crashed and burned. Absolute disappointment.
Yes.
It was demoralizing. And I was so confused because I was like, God, I've already been waiting for so long. I don't understand. I thought, this is so clear. This is such a win for you, God.
Yeah. Seriously, you're like, did you not see the
I'm
story
trying to
you
help
could
you
have
out.
had, Lord?
I'm
Yeah,
trying.
exactly.
And I started preparing, and I had written a message called Slow Burn.
Yeah.
And I had already preached it several times.
Wow.
But I never dreamed of sharing my story. It was
Yeah.
a story of Sarah and Abraham.
Yeah.
And at the end of the message, as I was getting ready to fly to Australia to preach, I really felt like God was saying, DawnCheré, I want you to close this message with your infertility story.
Wow.
And when I say I felt like God said it, I just felt an impression on my heart. Sometimes people can be confused by that term, like God said this. Well, we all get impressions from the Spirit of God in our heart.
Yes.
Idea that we can't shake, that, I would never choose to do on my own.
Right.
I would have
That's one
never,
of the first
never,
ways I
never,
know it's
never,
the
never,
Lord.
never done this. No, God, no. I'm not going to get up in front of 13,000 people and tell them that I'm walking through infertility, because
That's
I
right.
didn't want to be the infertility girl. I didn't want that label. I was bucking against it so hard. And I really, in my heart, reasoned with God and said, Lord, I don't have a testimony yet. I don't have the baby. I'm waiting for the miracle. When I have the miracle, when I have the testimony, that's when I'll share. And tenderly, just the way that he counseled me through, every season of my life.
Yes.
He opened my eyes to the understanding that you do have a testimony right now. The testimony is not the baby. The testimony is my faithfulness.
Wow.
I have been with you every step of the way.
Wow.
I have transformed your life in the wait. I have given you purpose. I have given you worthy work. I have opened up your eyes to the wonder of my grace, the beauty of this life. I've healed your brokenness as you've waited. You're not going to be healed when you have that baby. You are healed right now because I've brought you peace and you hold it and I'm yours.
Yes.
And it was like a moment that I'll never forget. I wasn't in church. I was just sitting and just realizing, oh, yes, God, it's always been you.
Yeah.
You've always been it. You're it. Sometimes we can make our story about the thing. It's not the thing.
Yes.
It's not the thing. Because you might not get the thing in this life.
That's right.
Our stories are about God's faithfulness.
Yes.
That's the only story worth passing down generation to generation.
Yeah.
God
It's
is
not about what you have.
faithful.
It's that God is faithful.
And that's why it's so important to understand before she spoke, baby in one hand, Bible in the other. She told me God loves you.
Yeah.
God sees you. God's proud of you. And he knows the burden that you're carrying. So I would speak that over everyone today. That knowing is where we get our identity. It's where we get our purpose. It's where we get our confidence. Everything we need is found in him.
Yes. That is so helpful. That is so good. Will you finish by telling the story about when you're changing diapers now?
Yes.
And
I love it so much.
That story because will you tell us that story?
So the big question right now is that you and I are talking about is, well, what do you do when the thing that you're waiting for, hoping for, it's just not happening? What do you do? I would say you choose to celebrate.
Yes.
Because celebration is a discipline.
Yes.
Richard Foster's book, Celebration of Discipline, is so beautiful. But we build our lives based upon what we celebrate. Every culture is marked by what they celebrate. Yeah. And oftentimes we think celebration is just like how we feel, what we're doing, but it's not. It's a decision. I'm going to celebrate. Rick's just turned 41. He's like, I don't really feel like celebrating, but I've made it a discipline that I'm going to celebrate that I made it another year.
Yes.
And so I think that for me, I've just decided to redeem my routine.
Yes.
And to celebrate in really ordinary moments the faithfulness of God. So my changing table is like an altar for me. Yeah. When I'm changing my baby's diapers, I just take the opportunity to say, thank you, God. Thank you that their organs are working properly. Yes. Thank you that they're here in my arms, Lord. Thank you for this moment.
Yes.
And I just make it an altar to say, Lord, I'm so grateful. In fact, my son, he started talking, and I remember wild. He's 5 now. But years ago, I was changing his diaper, and he had heard me say, thank you, Jesus, so many times that I changed his diaper, and he goes, thank you, Jesus.
I love it.
And it totally stunned me. Yeah. And then I thought, oh my goodness, he's catching on.
Yes.
But even the stinky things in life, like a diaper, you can redeem them. And so maybe it's your sink in your kitchen when you're washing dishes. Maybe it's your commute or when you're washing your car, when you're taking out your trash. Yeah. You make that an opportunity to thank God and to celebrate his faithfulness. This is the day the Lord has made. Yes. I will rejoice and be glad.
I was, I think the longer you wait for something, the more, I won't put a time on it. The deeper the wait feels, whether it's 6 weeks or 60 years, the deeper the wait feels, the more when you get the thing, you can say thank you a lot. Yes. And I had knee surgeries the last couple of summers. I had 3 summers in a row with surgeries, which was just so ungodly. It was awful. But a couple of days ago, the workout I was doing said, do a bazillion squats. And I did not want to do that.
I hate squats.
And I said to the Lord, you know what? I am so thankful my knees bend again. I can't wait to do these. I hate doing these, and I can't wait to do these. Because
how good is that?
A year ago, I was asking you, I was saying, I cannot wait till I feel better. I can't wait to do everything my body wants to do. So while this feels like a thing I don't want to do, I actually am able, this is actually an answered prayer. So I should say thank you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So turning even the dirty diapers and the squats and the things that are not fun can be fun when you remember that an answered prayer.
Yes. And you can get in such a rut when you take cues from the culture of how you speak.
Yeah.
You don't want to complain about your miracle.
Yes.
You don't want to build
Good.
a life you eat the fruit of your lips. Like, what are you celebrating? What are you noticing? The more you complain, the more you're drawn towards complaining. It is addicting.
Yes.
As addicting as any other substance.
Yes.
You know, it's addicting. And so being aware of like, no, I get to frame this. And my gratitude can flip anything in a moment and fill me with joy for the things that I used to despise.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. Okay. Is there anything we didn't talk about you want to make sure we say about slow burn?
No. I just hope that it encourages people. I hope that they find the love of God and have an encounter with Him as they read it.
Well, the dream of this year on the podcast is normally we are picking guests in response to who's available based on what's releasing. And this year we've gotten to go, no, I actually want this person to talk to me in this season.
Very cool.
And so you were already in my head.
No way.
Oh my gosh, yes. Because I've watched your story of going like, oh, she's waited and God's handed her. She's seen Him do. And so then when this was a springtime book, I was like, here we go, DawnCheré. This is going to be. So thank you for flying here and doing this.
I think the
I'm
world
so
of you. Thank you for
grateful.
having me.
Oh, it just
I think
means
it's
so much.
incredible.
The last question we always ask, because the show is called That Sounds Fun, DawnCheré Wilkerson, tell me what sounds fun to you today.
Oh my goodness. I think a fabulous cup of coffee and an almond croissant sounds like my dream right now.
Almond croissants are your thing?
I'm going to go on a hunt.
I did not know.
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
it's not you can't have a lot of almond
No.
croissants. You open that thing up, butter, sugar, all the things, but it just sounds really right to me right now. And maybe a little walk around Franklin.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds fun.
What a beautiful day to do it. I love you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Grateful. You guys, isn't she the best? I am telling you, I loved having her in here. I love this conversation. I loved this book. Grab your copy of Slow Burn and make sure you're following DawnCheré on social media. Tell her thank you for being on the show. If you love this episode, we think you'll also love episode 893 with Real Talk Kim, where we talked about praying over our own lives, and episode 414 with Taya about worshiping even when we're waiting. Those are linked in the show notes for you. If you have any questions from this episode, you can drop them in the Q&A box on your Spotify app if you're a Spotify listener like me, or send them to us on Instagram at That Sounds Fun Podcast. We'll try to answer them there. If you need anything else from me, you know I'm embarrassingly easy to find. Annie F. Downs on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, anywhere you may need me, that is how you can find me. And I think that's it for me today, friends. Go out or stay home. Do something that sounds fun to you, and I will do the same. Man, today what sounds fun to me is a few weeks in New York City. I am headed up tomorrow. But y'all have a great Monday. We'll actually see you back here on Thursday for our monthly appointment with one of our favorites, our buddy Eddie Koffoltz. We'll see y'all then.
That sounds fun.
That sounds fun.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Check 1, 2 on the microphone. Annie F. Downs in your car to your home. Every week it's something new. A deep talk or an interview. She'll make you laugh, she'll make you cry. When it's dark out, she's a light. When you're down, get you feeling right.